How to diagnose a starter motor fault. Hey folks, here's a 2006 Nissan Pathfinder with a 2.5 turbo diesel, with a no crank condition. We suspect the starter motor has failed, so let me show you how we would diagnose such a fault. First of all, since this is an automatic, we will make sure that she's in park. With the foot brake down, we're going to see what she does. We turn the ignition and we can see power to the ignition. We want to now listen outside to see what sounds we hear while we turn the key to the start position. We can hear some noises, but not a pronounced click or an attempt to turn over the engine. Next, we are going to check our battery voltage. Using our multimeter, we will turn our dial to volts. Make sure we are measuring DC and place our probes onto the battery. Red for positive, and black for negative. The battery is showing a good charge. We now test the battery while trying to start the vehicle again, which will give us an indication of whether the starter motor is being activated and if the battery can handle a load. Notice that as we turn the ignition on, we can hear some sounds from the engine compartment of various components being activated, and the battery voltage slightly drops. Then, when we go to the start position, the battery voltage drops slightly again. This second slight drop indicates that we are possibly trying to activate the starter motor. The starter motor's negative connection is grounded through its metal casing to the engine. Since we do not hear any signs of life from the starter motor, now would be an ideal time to test the negative connection between the engine and the battery. We use our multimeter in the volt measurement setting and connect our probes between our engine block to our battery's negative terminal. Then, by running the original test again, turn the key to start position. We should see 0 volts. Anything higher than a few hundred millivolts, then we would potentially have a ground strap problem. In this case, it looks to be okay. A more basic test can also be performed with a simple light probe. You would want to use one with an actual bulb and not an LED version. The bulb puts a higher load on a weakened connection, therefore indicating a fault more easily. This time, placing the light probe between the battery positive connection and the engine's metallic surface, we can see that the negative is connected to the engine. One more tool, which is invaluable to any mechanic, is the magnetic pickup tool. It is inevitable that small items, nuts, bolts, and clips like to go for a disappearing act into the abyss of unreachable areas of an engine bay. So make sure you have one to go fishing. Next up, let's find our starter motor. This is located where the gearbox and engine are bolted together. Alternatively, follow the heavy cabling from the battery's positive terminal. In this case, it is easier to access the starter motor from under the vehicle. It is bolted to the gearbox's bell housing. Yes, that oily black object is our starter motor. Looks like we have a moderate oil leak to deal with, but right now we just need to get this engine started, so we'll deal with that later. Access is not always easy, but we do have quite a bit of room to work with here. We are looking for 2 wires attached to the solenoid on the starter motor. The heavier duty cable is our main battery supply, and the smaller, thinner wire is called the trigger wire. First, we shall check the main battery supply. By attaching the light probe between the bell housing and the main battery terminal, we can see the lamp illuminates. This means our battery supply is okay. Now, to check the trigger wire. We will attach the light probe between the trigger wire connection and bring it to the battery's negative terminal so that we can see what the test reveals. Turning the key to the start position. If the lamp illuminates, then we know the starter motor is faulty. If it doesn't, then we know that the problem lies elsewhere and the starter motor is not being told to activate. In this case, we can clearly see that it is receiving an activation request, so therefore our starter motor is at fault and needs to be replaced. Thanks for watching and hopes this helped. Disclaimer: these videos are for entertainment purpose only and your safety is your responsibility.